Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have the lecture where we will discuss about United Kingdom's climate and weather. An illustrated overview for higher education system for students, especially for you. This tag explains the difference between weather and climate, the factors of shape the British Isles climate, the patterns of temperature, rainfall, and sunshine, the nature of British weather, and how vegetation responds to these conditions. Images and diagrams emphasizes key ideas and regional contrasts. Climate versus weather, the essential distinction. Okay, first of all, what is climate? Climate describes long-term average conditions for a place, typically calculated from at least 30 years of observations. It summarizes typical temperature ranges, precipitation amounts, wind tendencies, and seasonal patterns. Okay, now what is weather? Weather is a short-term state of the atmosphere at a particular time for place, temperature, precipitation, cloud, wind, and visibility, which can change from hour to hour or day to day. The British Isles are famous for rapidly changing weather. Why both matter? Climate tells us what to expect across seasons and years, weather affects everyday decisions, what to wear, travel, outdoor activities, and short-term hazards. Okay, how we measure them? Meteorologists record daily weather. Climatologists average those records to produce climatologists, monthly means, annual totals, and long-term trends. Now, key factors controlling Britain's climate. Several geographic factors interact to produce the British Isles maritime temperate climate. Each factor modifies temperature and precipitation patterns in a different way. Okay, latitude. Britain lies between roughly 50 and 61, and latitude controls solar angle and day lengths. Longer summer days and shorter winter days in the north influence temperature seasonally. Distance from the sea. Okay, maritime influence moderates extremes. The ocean warms and cools slowly, reducing seasonal temperature contrasts and keeping winter milder and summers cooler than inland areas at the same latitude. And relief topography, how is we describes its relief. High ground, uh, high ground is cooler and forces moist air to rise, causing orographic rain. Mountains and uplands therefore receive much more precipitation than adjacent lowlands. And prevailing winds, westerly winds bring most air from the North Atlantic. They transport heat and moisture, producing frequent rain and cloud, especially where air is uplifted over high ground. And the North Atlantic drift and the maritime moderation, and you may look to this map where the Gulf Stream and Atlantic Ocean, and with red thoughts we show here is shown, it's their direction to the Great Britain's islands. The North Atlantic drift and extension of the Gulf Stream brings relatively warm ocean waters to northwest Europe. This circulation partly explains why the British Isles are much milder in winter than in other places at the same latitude. Together with prevailing westerlies, the oceanic heat transport moderates temperatures and supplies moisture for rainfall. And temperature patterns and the seasonal ranges. The British temperature show modest seasonal changes compared with continental regions at similar latitudes. Mean annual temperatures England and Wales 10 grades, and Scotland and Northern Ireland 9 grades. Typical monthly extremes range from cool winter to mild summers. Now let's say them in seasonal. For example, in winter, mean January in London 4 grades, inland frost and occasional minimum below minus 10 grades can occur on calm, clear nights. Mountains are much colder. And summer, mean July in London, 17 grades. Southern England can experience heat waves with temperature above 30 grades on some days. Record heights was 37 grades. It was 1911's year. Now, regional contrasts. West and southwest milder and in winter, north and uplands colder, shorter growing season. Isles are quite warmer than Shetlands by several degrees. Day lengths vary strongly with latitude. London experiences 16 and 35-minute daylight at the summer solstice and 50 minus at the winter solstice on important control on seasonal temperatures. Rainfall, cloud and sunshine, spectral patterns. Rainfall in Britain average, Western Highland and Lake District Wales and Ireland and Lowland. If you notice here, Western Islands more than the others, but it is same with the Lake District Wales. They are both 2,000 millimeters rains in them. And sunshine, what about sunshine? Sunshine decreases northwards and inland. June is generally the sunniest month. Winter months, from November to January. Have the little daily sunshine in the north. Okay, what about snows in Great Britain? Snowfall is common on high ground and the far north lowland see for fewer snow days. Some mountain summits retain snow for months. And typical British weather patterns and variability. Weather in British Isles is variable both day to day and seasonally. Also, climate averages are stable and the weather can swing between dry spells and prolonged wet periods or between mild and unusually cold episodes. And here you may compare all the 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, with the continental air. Are they dry, hot, or cold? And from the Atlantic depressions, rain, wind, and extremes, heat waves, cold snaps, resistant rains. You may from in what months are they very driest and especially in summer, warm rain maybe in only July and in August, and autumn and winter very wet season from October to January, and in winter the wettest from October to January too. What about vegetation, human influence, and natural patterns? Britain present vegetation is largely shaped by human activity. Much original forest and natural cover was cleared for agriculture, fuel, and building materials over centuries. What remains is a mix of semi-natural habitats, managed woodland, and agricultural landscapes. Of course, there are very rainy climate. That is why they have green waters. There are a lot of waters and very rainy lakes you see here and the farmest agriculture here. Original lowland vegetation was predominantly deciduous woodland, oak, ash, elm, hazel, and beech. Upland areas supported hazel, moorland, and shrub communities, heather, grasses, peat borders. Today, woodland covers about 9% of the country's surface. The remainder is a mixture of arable and land and pasture. Okay, how climate and weather determine land use and ecosystems. First, we discuss about agriculture and forestry and peatlands, environmental consequences, human adaptations. You may read here and let's compare them each each chapter between them. Okay, so summary and the key takeaways for geographical of Great Britain. So weather is short term, climate is long term average, yes. And the British Isles have a maritime temperate climate influenced strongly by the North Atlantic drift and the prevailing westerlies. Relief causes large spectral vegetations, wet, windy western uplands versus drier eastern lowlands. And what about the temperature and the vegetation? And you may do some answers to these pictures, and as you see, every our lecture have their questions at the end of our lecture, and you may when you answer to them, you may use these short answers for them. Okay? Thanks for your attention. My presentation is over. Thanks.